Today's video, I'm going to talk about this Pelsee 12-inch dash cam rear view mirror. This thing is pretty awesome. It comes with a 4K camera looking forward, and then you have a secondary camera that most people are going to use as a rear view camera. It's 2.5K, so still pretty decent quality. But what I'm using that secondary camera for is it's in the undercarriage of the vehicle looking forward. So when I'm on the trails, I can see my front two tires and see what they're coming up against. So in the Rangers, we have a forward-looking camera. It's on the dash looking forward and down. So you get an idea and it gives you some tracks for your tires. But once that's out of the camera view, it's all looking out your window or just feeling for it. But now I actually have, it will be displayed on this, showing me the tires, the rocks that I saw coming in. It works really, really well. So I do really like this for that, but I probably will actually move that secondary camera to the back when I put my rack on my truck and have my tent when I can't see out the rear view mirror. But the thing I really like about this is when you don't have the display on, it is just a mirror. Like you can see just a standard reflection in it. So that's really nice too, because when my buddy has a GMC Sierra, his has a rear view camera. So it's always a camera. I don't know if you can turn it off or not. And it really threw me off when you have it up here and you're looking at it. If you're used to a mirror, you might move your head around a little bit to see different things, see around different pillars, and then you can pick your head up, see who's in the back seat, things like that. If it's just a camera sitting in the back of your truck, you can move your head around all you want. It's going to be the exact same picture no matter what. So it takes a little getting used to. Once you're used to it, it's probably a non-issue. And I bet most people are like, dude, what are you talking about? But it made a difference to me. It's that uncanny valley kind of feeling where you know it should be a reflection, but when you move your head, it's not moving the way you're used to a normal rear view mirror moving. So that's really the only downside to it. And I don't even want to call that a downside because technology is just, you know, it's getting better and better. It gives you warnings. It'll probably beep at you if you're going to hit something. I mean, we already have a backup camera though. So when you're in reverse in the Ranger, you've got the whole camera here showing you what's behind you. So I like that. Up here, you have to run power. This is the cord for the secondary camera, and this is the GPS. So I ran both the power and the secondary camera in the headliner over to here, down this A-pillar. I ran the secondary camera through the firewall underneath and then back to the camera. I ran the power wire down here across and then to the cigarette lighter right here in the glove compartment. So that's enough on this. Oh, I do want to talk about the fact that it comes with a 64 gigabyte SD card, micro SD card that goes in here, and it loops the recording. So it records 1, 2, or 3 minute videos. You can set that. I have it set to 3-minute videos. And then once it fills the card, it goes to the oldest video, deletes that one, and records a new one. But you can lock videos. So if you saw something awesome, like you saw a deer with all its babies and you want to show your kids, you can just say lock video, and it has audio, it has voice recognition, it'll lock a video. You can tell it turn off display, it'll turn the display off. You can tell it, I think there's like 9 different commands, but you got to get the verbiage exact. If the verbiage is turn off display and you say turn display off, it won't do it. It has to hear turn off display. So once you learn those, they're pretty easy. I sat in here for about 3 minutes saying turn display off, turn display off, turn display off. Turns out it was just waiting for me to say turn off display, and when I did that, it worked fine. So that's how it records. It records both the front and the rear. It timestamps them, so when you do pull them off onto your phone, and that is the only way to get the images off of here. If you take that SD card out and plug it into something on your computer, it's not going to recognize them as video files. It won't even open it. It wouldn't open it on my computer. So you have to tie into this via the Wi-Fi that's in here. So when you're done with your drive, or if heaven forbid you get in an accident or you observe an accident and you're willing to, and you stop and you want to give them the footage or whatever, while the car is still on, while this is still powered, you tie into the Wi-Fi on your phone, you go into the Pelsee app, it shows you all your videos, you can download the one you want to your phone, and then you can email it to whoever needs it. You can do whatever you need to it from there. And the quality, when you actually download the video, when you're watching it on this screen, it's pretty darn good. When you actually look at it on a computer screen or on your phone where the dynamic range of your phone is so much better, the quality is really surprising. So on this one, if you have some really dark stuff and some really light stuff, like the undercarriage of the car is a great example. Everything in the undercarriage is in shade. And if it looks at that and makes that what it's going to expose for, everything else is going to be washed out. It's going to be just bright white light. So on here, you might see, if I had the forward-looking camera, you might see all the undercarriage, and then out in front of the truck just looks like a blinding white light. You can't adjust that on this. You can't tell it, hey, expose for this, not for that. But when you do get it onto your phone later, you can actually do a little bit of editing and change the exposure on there, and you can actually see a little more. So the cameras outperformed the display in that sense, but the display is still really good. And I have some video of it, you'll see it. And then I'll put the video of the actual camera feed that I downloaded on as well, so you can compare them. But I don't want to say that this thing isn't amazing, because it really is. The dash cam I had before was a black view. It went in here. I had one in the front, one in the back. It was about 8 or 10 years old. It was probably $800 or $900 when I bought it, and it was 4K. It was that was like back when 4K in a camera was amazing technology, and it was really good. That's why it was so expensive. This thing, the quality is better than that. I would say that, you know, the really high-end dash cams now are going to be a little bit better, but this thing is more than enough for what I need. I mean, this is just to capture an accident, or if you did something cool off-roading, or just whatever you want to see, and you just want to relive a moment, whether it be a good or a bad moment, to prove your innocence in an accident, or just to show your kids that you saw a deer on the side of the road, eating grass or whatever, not dead, because that would be gross if you showed that to your kids. But anyway, I really like this thing. I'm super happy with it. The one thing to take note of is the camera's on this side, so this whole thing is going to be shifted left on your rear view mirror. So when I put it up here, that's perfect. And then the last thing I'm going to do is make sure this camera, so if this camera was centered, it would be looking in that direction. I want to move it, and it is adjustable to a point. It can move like maybe 15 or 20 degrees, not a ton, but when you have it canted to look at you, you can point this back straight. So right now I have it straight and down just a tad because the mirror is this way and it'd be looking up. So I have it down and straight, and it's looking straight out in front of me. And then my under camera, or the undercarriage camera, is down there, and it has a plug, so I can take it out if I want to. I'm probably going to get like a stick with a towel on the end of it, spray some glass cleaner, and be able to do it from right here. I haven't done that yet. I've only taken it out on the trail one time, and it actually did a good job. I cleaned it one time. I just kind of stuck my arm way in there and wiped it, but it was good to go. When it's in here and it's all wired up, you don't even know it's there. Like if you didn't turn it on, it's just a regular rear view mirror. It has a tiny bit of concave stuff, so stuff actually looks bigger and closer than it really is. Whereas like in your side view mirror, it makes things look further away. So that one's a little bit concave backwards. This one's concaved inwards. It is what it is, but it's very, very minimal. So it doesn't really take a lot of getting used to. It's just like, oh, that's a little bit different. Whereas when it's a camera up here full time and you move your head and nothing changes, that can play some tricks on your eyes. But it is what it is. So again, I want to show you some footage from it. I did some night driving with it. I did some trail driving with it. I just drove around regularly. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but there's that one piece of metal in the back that gets hotter than, well, I don't want to say hotter than fire, because fire is pretty hot. It gets extremely hot to where you couldn't even hold your hand on it. It would burn your fingers. And that's the heat dissipation for the all of the electronics in here. And you have a display, and you're running power to different cameras, and you're powering the GPS, and you're processing all the stuff and putting it onto a SD card. So there is definitely heat dissipation that is required. So I have not gone and driven with this thing on for like 10 hours when it's 110 degrees or anything to see if it can handle long term like that. But my assumption is it can. If it's way too hot, there's a button, you can just turn the display off. It's still recording front and back. It's still processing those videos and putting them on your SD card. It's just not displaying it. And the display is probably a big part of that heat. But that thing is right up against your rear view mirror. On a 1994 Chevy S10, where the mirror is strictly just a piece of glass with metal on the back and it's on just a little swivel, heat doesn't make any difference. But these newer mirrors, the ones that come in it, they have sensors. They have sensors for light to auto dim the thing. It's got different stuff in the mirror itself that I don't know if that heat is going to affect something down the road. Not too worried about it. I think it's going to be pretty good. And to be honest, I don't really use those features on it. So if I just keep this thing on here forever, it's totally fine with me. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like corny, cheesy, kind of cheap stuff that you would get. It's decent. And there's a lot of companies out there that make them. They're all probably pretty darn similar, but I'm really happy with the Pelsee. The 12-inch, the touchscreen is good. It's easy to manipulate. It's easy to get through all the settings. You can adjust the camera. You can flip it right side up, upside down, left and right, right and left. For the backup camera, there's no adjustments for the forward-looking camera because they know you're going to put it up here and you're going to be looking forward. So you don't need to flip it. You don't need to turn it left and right, right and left. But you can move that camera underneath in a lot of different ways. So they give you the options to adjust it in here for the display. When you do go to get the videos off of it, that's all via Wi-Fi. You hook up your phone with the Pelsee app to the camera while it's still powered on, or you could take it out of your car and go inside and just use your iPhone charger, your USB-C, your iPad charger, whatever USB-C charger you have. If it's a 2-amp charger, it will power this thing up. You'll be recording in there when you do it, but basically you don't have to be sitting in your car with the car running to make this happen. You can just pull it out, take it inside, download whatever videos you want. In the app, it'll show you everything that's on there. And then you pick like the 7 videos that you wanted based on the timestamps that are on there. You say download, brings them down to your phone. It's pretty quick. It's less than a minute per video for me for 3-minute videos. And that's the other thing. This will loop the recording and delete the oldest to replace it with the newest once it's full. But you can change the resolution of the video if you want. So I have mine set to the highest resolution because my thought is if I do something awesome, I can lock the video and it won't delete it. Or I can just say lock video and you see it. It actually does the command when you tell it to do that. So I have it to the highest resolution. I have 3-minute videos so that when I am downloading them, putting them into iMovie, I don't have 200 things. I have a third of 200, which is like 66 point something. Yeah, whatever. Let's see, what else was there? It does have GPS. The GPS is there it'll tell you your speed. It'll tell you a couple other things on there. And then one thing that I did notice is I used to look up here for the display on what direction I was going, north, northeast, south, whatever. When I didn't have the GPS on here, it didn't do that. But then when I turn the GPS on, it is on there again. So that's good. And I also have the map on here, so it's there. But I'm just used to, if I'm kind of lost and I knew I went to the north end of a trail and the freeway I'm trying to get to is north of that, I did notice that I'd be looking up there for that northeast, northwest, make sure I'm going in that general direction as opposed to getting turned around on those back roads and be going the wrong way. So that was a little bit different. Let me turn it on and we'll see from there. All right, so we're powered up in here. I can't manipulate it too much more because the wires are pretty tight in there. I got them set right where I wanted them. So right here, it tells you your speed. It's got your like lanes there. I'm not sure if that actually ties in when you're driving down the road. If it's looking for lane lines, then it would warn you if you're going in and out of your lane. But it does tell me right now I'm facing north going 0 miles per hour. So it just shut off. I told it after 1 minute, turn off. I don't want the video on all the time. If I had the backup camera and I was towing, I'd go in there and turn that off. So it is on all the time. But I want it as just a regular mirror most of the time, but I do want it recording in case something happens, then I can go back and get that footage. So, and to turn it on, you just touch it. So you have some voice commands in here. You can tell it open screen. So if I say turn off display.
The screen is turned off.
Open screen. Open display.
The screen is turned on.
There, I got it wrong. I said open screen, but it's actually open display. So that does it. And then you can swipe. This is just the undercarriage look. And then you can zoom up a little, or you can move up. So I'm looking at the transmission pan. I'm looking at the drive shaft coming forward from the transfer case right under here going forward. And then you can see the exhaust manifold coming across. And then out here, it's a little bit crooked on here, but that's just because the way I mounted it. I can see my Home Depot bucket and my little pump that's sitting right there out in front of me. And I've got my 2 front wheels so I can see, like if I was out on a trail, I could see the rock that was coming that I saw on my forward facing or that I saw on this forward facing. You can have the video on and still focus on the camera. It's just like those 3D pictures that you looked at when you were kids. You just like focus your eyes different. You can look at either one, whichever one you're focusing on. But I like it when the display is just turned off, so you can turn it off with the button down here, turn it on with the button, or you can use the voice command, turn off display.
The screen is turned off.
And then you can just touch it to turn it back on. Swiping through. So you've got lots of different options on it. So the other things you can have this do, you can say, take picture. And it takes a picture both forward and backwards. So that saves it as a picture in there, just in case you wanted just a picture instead of the whole video. You can also say, lock the video.
Video locked.
There you go. Now it's locked. Now when it gets back to this one in 3 hours, it's going to skip deleting it and go to the next one. Because I'm driving down the street, I see somebody do something crazy, hit somebody else, I say lock the video. It's going to lock it. Yeah, so this one's already locked, but it will be doing that. I can keep driving for the next 3 hours, and when it gets back to that one, I still have the ability to go into my app and look at the locked videos. So that's the other thing. When you go into your app, you have all the videos, and then you have locked videos. So once you go in there and download them, I haven't figured out if once you download it, if it unlocks it or not, because if you locked every video, eventually you're going to fill the SD card and it's going to have no more room. So there's probably something in there for after it's been downloaded or after a certain amount of time. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have enough time to record that many and lock them all to find out, and it didn't say it in the pamphlet that I read about it, but it's pretty darn user-friendly, and I can't imagine getting yourself in that situation. If you're locking every single video and then you don't download it, like, what's the point of doing it in the first place? So a little common sense goes a long way with this thing. On the right hand side, it shows me that I'm on 3-minute loops. My microphones are on, so it's also getting the audio from inside the vehicle. That, to me, I wanted that because my kids do silly stuff all the time and they say funny things, and I always try to remember it. But if this is just a backup, like if they say something just off the wall or surprise me with how smart they are with something, I can just tell it to lock that video out, and then I can go back and get it and just get the audio off of it. The next thing is shows you that the SD card is in there and then it's hooked up to power right now. And then you've got your little GPS thing that's green telling you the GPS does have a signal. It has the time over here. That's really it. What is this? Oh, you can go in on your screen and actually look at some of the old videos. So there we are. I'm looking at a video I took while I was sitting here already. But anyway, so you don't even have to put it on your phone. You can see them from here as well, which is pretty neat. You just click on the reverse camera, and so you can look at the forwards or the reverse. You can look at the locked videos that you have on there. I only have one, the one we just locked, and then I have pictures as well because I told it to take some pictures. So anyway, this thing does a lot of cool stuff, and it's always there. It turns on when you turn your car on, so you're always recording. I should put it in my wife's van because she likes to get hit by other cars. And then we could prove that it wasn't her fault. You know, when that jackass Mustang runs into her when she's at a red light and then tries to say that she backed into him. I mean, crazy stuff like that. But anyway, it's always cool to have. We saw some deer when we were out at night, and we saw the mama on one side and the baby on the other side, so we slammed on the brakes. Car behind me really had to slam on his brakes as well. I know you're not supposed to slam on your brakes because it makes other people hit you, but I'm not about to hit a baby deer with my 11-year-old or 12-year-old daughter in the car. So anyway, it was fine, but we did have it on camera, so that was pretty neat too. And she was really excited to see it on camera after the fact. I've got it installed. You can see it without a major glare right now. So if you scan, this is the view I have underneath, and you can actually move it up and down a little bit. I don't know how to make it do the full view, and I think it actually can't because the aspect ratio of this. So like there's the whole front view, and it's very wide. You can go up and down a little bit. You can't go side to side. You can't zoom in and out. But then when you get both the front and the back, it gives you the full here and the full here, because this is probably a 16:9 ratio, which is what most video cameras do, a 16:9 or 4:3. I think it's almost always 16:9. But anyway, I have my wires all done. I put the wires up here in the headliner. I was thinking about putting them into the plastic here because this piece comes out, but I didn't want to get too crazy with it. So this isn't bad right here. It just goes up into the headliner all the way across here, then down through this A-pillar trim, and then the wire going to the undercarriage camera actually goes down here through the A-pillar and then out through the firewall, down underneath the truck. I ran it in the frame from the outside into the middle where I mounted it, and I'll show you that. And then the wire for the power does the same thing. Comes up here, goes down the A-pillar, and then it actually comes down between these two pieces here. So I pulled this seal off and ran the wire down here. I zip tied it up by the heater duct that goes all the way along here, and it's nice and tight. There's no way it can come loose and flop down by the pedals. And then it tracks along here, comes up, puts in there, and then ties into that. So anyway, there's the wiring. It has a lot of features. So if you touch it, stop recording, you can go into settings, and then you can change your video resolution. I have it on the highest because I just want the best. Lock the video, for example, and it'll lock the video. So if I do that right now, I turn this off. Lock the video.
Video locked.
boom, that thing just came over. So now this video, this 3-minute section, when this counts up to 3 minutes, is gonna be saved in there. And as it goes 3 hours past, it will skip deleting this and go to the next one. You can take a picture. So if you're like off on an adventure somewhere and you pull up to a scenic overlook or something, you're like, wow, that's pretty. And you don't wanna take your phone out for some reason. And you're just like, boom, I wanna take a picture of that. There, it took a picture. It's already recording, but now it just took a picture too. Or if you're in traffic and your phone is down and someone cuts you off and you're like, I got to get that guy's license plate, boom, picture. It has it on a video too, but it's also doing that. And then when you have the voice commands on, let's see, you could say, so we'll do, take picture. Take picture. There, you got to be clear with it, but it just took a picture. So take picture. It just did it again. I heard the click. Turn off display. So now it's just a regular mirror. You can see it. It's actually a really good mirror too. So the one thing I will say is it's a little bit wider, so you can see the actual rear view mirror on that side. That is a bummer. I wish it would go more this way, but the problem with that is that the camera is right here and that's all the way up against the mirror on this side. So the only way that they could do that is make this even longer if they made it like 1 inch longer, but then you've got a massive mirror, which wouldn't look bad. I think it'd be fine. I'm not too, you can't, like from the driver's seat, you can barely see it. But when you start coming over here, you can see it. If you're in the passenger seat, you'd be like, dude, what's on your mirror? But anyway, that's a little thing. All right, so I don't know how well you can see everything I'm looking at, but I've got my image up here. This is forward looking, that's forward looking. This is the undercarriage. I'm actually gonna get it to where it's just that. And I can swipe up, that doesn't do any good, but you can see the drive shaft spinning, that's kind of cool. There's the transmission pan up there too. And then what I want to be able to see is where my tires are going, and then if I'm getting close on clearance to anything. So anyway, just wanted to show you what, as the driver, you're looking at. So when the whole trail is in shadow, you can actually see all the way out in front. Makes it a little more fun to use that camera. But you know, when you're out in the sun, you only really can see the tires. You can barely see out in front of them. I almost feel like I'm going slower now that I have this thing. In the past, I wouldn't say I'd romp through this, but I definitely was not going this slow. But whatever, I got nowhere else to be today, and it's a beautiful day. Got the windows down, it's not hot, so I can't imagine finding something I'd rather be doing right now. Definitely not the intended purpose of a backup camera rear view look, but I love it. And the fact that we already have a rear view camera in this truck when you put it in reverse, I mean, this is the perfect use for the second camera, in my opinion. You have the forward looking, so when I get home, I can look at the video from this, and then I can also use this along the way. And if I went over something cool and it just looks neat, then I'll put a little bit of video from the underneath camera too. So sometimes that's even cooler. People just want to see the suspension moving around. Had to give the camera a little wipe. Had some mud and dirt on it. But you really see the trail out in front in the shade. I mean, it's out there, but you can see pretty clearly in here. When you're going fast, you don't see as much, but whatever. Ooh, deer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby deers, baby deers. Stop there, baby deers. All right, so I wanted to show again. Sky is gray. This camera right here that we're looking at this on, that's what I'm seeing outside. Pretty bright lights, gray sky. Look on here, it's super bright, and it actually shows the contrast of a sunset. So this is just bumping up the contrast, overexposing, but it's not grainy. So go ahead and turn on switch 6 safe, forward. That's with the super high beams, and this doesn't do it justice because my phone is actually overexposing it. That's what that looks like if I bring down the exposure on my iPhone camera to see what we're actually seeing there with the high beam lights on, but that makes it hard for any camera. So turn them off. Let's turn these lights on. So anyway, really impressive nighttime ability of this camera. But for me, I don't have, if I had the backup camera set up as a backup camera, I would have it on full time, probably with the brightness down a little bit. Maybe I would have the brightness down to like here, and then have it as just the camera here as a backup. But it does work as a mirror too. There's nobody behind us, so you're not going to see it, but right now that's just a standard mirror. That is way brighter than the actual sky looks out there right now. So it does a really good job of low light. Like that little white car right there is over there. You can see it, and just to the naked eye, even this phone camera that I'm recording this video on is doing a better job than I can see personally. So I got my daughter, Avery, what do you think? That's pretty bright, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You can like see the green in the grass really well.
It's over!